What's up, guys? Welcome back to another MarbleCast. Today I'm talking to National Weightlifter Morgan Vozobule of Philly Barbell. Morgan is a badass weightlifter and athlete competing at high levels of CrossFit, weightlifting, and anything strength related. We hope you enjoy this episode, so let's check it out. Morgan, what's going on? Thank you for coming on this podcast.
Yeah, I feel like normally I ask to see like a list of things and questions that we're going to talk about ahead of time, but I'm really happy to just kind of like free flow with you.
Yeah, it's easier that way because if I have a set topic, then I kind of like have to stick to it or ask questions based on that. But I want to just get to know you and what your process is with lifting. You just crushed some weights this past weekend, so awesome job.
Yeah, that was a really good meet for me. Thank you you got some good juju, and now we're going to have to come back out every year.
Yeah, I want to actually expand to a bigger location next meet because obviously it's a little tight back there in that warm-up area.
That was a tough warm-up area, but it depends on how you train. If you are normally telling your athletes, like, don't be distracted, find a focus point, then you should be training resilience through that type of environment.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, warm-up areas in general are not great because people are everywhere. Mm-hmm. So this being a little bit tighter, it's a little worse. I'll be honest. It's not my favorite warm-up area, and the platforms I'm going to fix. I promise at some point. That's what all the wood is for. But we're getting there.
Yeah.
Was this your first meet in a while?
Oh, my God. Yeah. So since my last in-person meet was Malta in March when I competed for Team USA. So It had been easily a year before I had been back on the platform. Now, we did finals, but that was, remember the finals nationals combine that they did in December, and we did that virtually. So I guess that's technically a competition, but it was like in my gym on the platform that I normally train on, and so it didn't push me the same way.
Yeah, it's not the same. The virtual thing it's like a little weird. You have to wait for somebody on the computer to tell you to go lift.
Yeah, super weird. And like I'm normally in my gym with my teammates. I got 16, 15 people around me. Music is playing. Everyone's feeling each other. And then for that, it was like, okay, Morgan's session. And it was like my best like teammates, 9 people in the corner watching just me. It felt very, I don't know. It felt very weird, but obviously we had to make it happen. And I had a couple of teammates that just went to Salt Lake for the hybrid that they did. Some were virtual, some was in person.
Right.
And I heard that was a really tough experience because virtual has a lot of technical hang-ups on its own. Now you try to put virtual with in-person. I don't know how they even managed to do that.
Yeah, so when they were doing the in-person, they had the weight set up, and then when they had virtual, they still had the weight set up, and they had to wait.
Yeah,
right?
So you would be sitting there in person, and you would be waiting for the person on the computer lifting, and similarly, if you were lifting via Zoom, then you had to change the bar the same way that the session was changing. I mean, I just think that was like, also, if there was, God forbid, a technical glitch, which there were several of, then you had to stop the clock and have everybody restart it. And so I had one teammate, my coach said she had like 18 minutes in between her 2 attempts. So that's tough.
Yeah, the hybrid, I mean, it is what it is. I don't think they have any other way of doing it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's the best they have right now, and I'm hoping for nationals and for the finals this year, everything's in person and we'll get back to normal.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I feel like you can get more people to participate with hybrid, right? And so in the end, they want more money, right? $125 registration fee. That's a good amount of money. And obviously had to grow with the pandemic. Like a lot of people have had to become more technologically savvy than ever before. But I just think the nature of that competition, I mean, I hope it's all in person as well for nationals.
I don't think that's sustainable to do it all hybrid. It's not. You can't be. Like, it's not the same thing.
It's not, yeah.
No. All right, so you went 90-112 this weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, let's go over these snatches real quick because you kept everybody in suspense. You had to make that last one. So 90, I think I read that was the first time you hit that on a platform. Yeah. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Great job on that.
My best is 95, and 90 is like an arch nemesis of mine. I've really been trying to hit it consistently in training. And I think that the frequency that I have been hitting it with, I know that I can hit it on a platform. And so that was kind of our major goal coming into this meet. But it wasn't going to be on my third attempt. We were thinking like maybe my second attempt and then go for something heavier. But as you saw, the first 2 attempts didn't go quite as planned.
What do you think threw you off on the first 2?
So a couple things I'm trying to think about is aggression for me does not help. When I'm really hype and really excited, I overpull, and that's why I lost the first one behind me, or I will rock into the toes too early prior to extension, and I think that's exactly what happened with the first 2 attempts. So my coach was going to have me take 87 for the third one to get on the board. But you know, when you have been visualizing and thinking about a certain number for a long time, it's almost like immediately heartbreaking to have your coach be like, let's stay at 87. So I asked for permission. I was like, can we please just try 90? I know that I can get it. Because that's the number that I've been like mentally fixated on for so long. And so I think what I need to remember to do is pull slow to the knee and then turn on my acceleration. And that's the major thing that I changed.
Yeah, I noticed that with a lot of you and your teammates, that pull off the floor is slow, but your hips are fire. They're fast.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. So, like, I have a couple teammates so Brittany was with me, and she does that similarly, but a lot of us aren't like that. I don't know if it's like, I don't think any part of me is weak. I want to be clear, but I do think that, like, if I'm uncomfortable with the pull portion of a lift, then my deadlift is a little weaker than my squat. And so I think Jim has just figured out a way for us to like work around what our own weaknesses are. You know, I have plenty of teammates that are fast from the floor to extension. I just mess it up every time. So I have to go slow.
That's the nature of the sport, right?
Yeah.
You just keep practicing, keep messing it up.
Yeah.
You guys do a lot of block work?
Tons of block work.
Yeah,
and
that's that hip speed.
That's probably why. Yeah, we're really good at accelerating after the knee is because, I mean, that's exactly what block work will train you to do.
Yeah.
I think that's so funny that you noticed that about our team. I had a male teammate, Steve, who lifted in the A session that you had later that day. And I tell him that we're team slow to the knee because he and I are like exactly the same. Like, sometimes people will think that I'm doing like a pause clean, and once you get to the knee, we can turn it on. So yeah, he and I are pretty similar that way.
Yeah, he had a rough competition.
I heard.
He had to snatch extra at the end.
I heard. What happened?
It happens.
Extra?
Well, I think he was so frustrated after the competition ended that he started snatching in the back just to make things make sense for him, and he had a rough day.
Yeah.
It tends to happen when you lift savage weights.
He's newer to the team, so I don't know if he's been with us for, maybe it's been about a year, but he's been doing really well. He came to us with like a really good base, and I think that he was within qualifying for finals, and in the past year he has qualified and then competed this December, so he's a newer staple, a newer addition.
I mean, I've seen him snatch 145, so for him to miss 130, something was just going on.
He's got like a couple of shoulder things going on. So.
Yeah.
Also, this was just a tune-up, right? So like not a lot of us were peaked specifically for this. We just kind of want to see, I think we're 14 weeks out from nationals, something like that. So this is a good snapshot of like where we need to keep growing. Yeah.
All right. I want to touch on the clean and jerks for a second, only because there was a cue given to you that I still have no idea what it means, but it was kind of funny.
I know what it is.
And it was. Yeah, of course you do. You're going to have to explain to me. For everybody listening and who wasn't at the competition this past weekend, it was butt behind you like Steve Yonda. Mm-hmm. And it worked, but I have no idea what it means. Could you explain it?
Yeah, so actually we've never tried that before. I feel like every competition we go into, there's a new set of cues. And so whoever's coaching me and counting my reps will be like, what do you want to hear? And so the best like visual for me to get my head through the jerk is to try to move just like my teammate Steve Yonda, and he trains remotely in I think Maryland or Virginia, so I don't see him that often, but if he comes into town for a competition and he does like some lifts next to me, my jerks are on fire because I just try to move like Steve Yonda, and so that's exactly what that cue is about.
I was looking him up. I was trying to figure out who Steve Yonda was. I was like, is this someone famous? Should I know who this is? Could not figure that out. He is now, yeah. Yeah, for our 7 viewers, he's now famous.
He's going to hit the big time.
All right. So, I hope this blows up. Yeah, that'd be great. All right. So how long have you been with Philly Barbell? Because you were at Liberty for a while. That was your spot, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I started CrossFit at CrossFit Center City, and that's the home of Liberty Barbell Club. And so I was training there with Jim Rudder because that was his original home. And he transitioned to start Philly Barbell Club on his own. And so I haven't been with him for like a 2 or 3 year period. I was with McKenna for a majority of that. My wife coached me for a little bit too. So I just started with Jim in 2018. I looked this up because I knew that you were going to ask this. And so it was like, April of 2018 that I officially started lifting for Philly Barbell. So we had our like 2-year mark in the middle of COVID this last year.
Yeah. And you started with CrossFit. So, and you've gone to regionals, right?
Yeah, I went to regionals team in 2014, and that was, I mean, to this day, one of the best weekends of my life. I don't know, I mean, I joke about this with my friends, but I think I really love exercise suffering. I mean, that's the easiest way to say. Like, I obviously don't want to be waterboarded or anything, but if you put me through a grueling competition, that was the best weekend of my life. And the team, Philly Barbell, we went to Canada to train with a national coach there. And so we had a 3-day weekend where we had 2-a-days every single day. And that was probably the second best weekend of my life. Just really like grindy, gritty suffering. I love that kind of shit.
When you're like stress-free and you're just in the gym all day, but you don't have to worry about coaching people, you're the athlete, it's such a better experience. So doing those 2-a-days is like a vacation. Whereas I'm in my gym for 12, 14 hours a day. I'm getting asked questions all day. So me fitting in a session, maybe I'm lifting all day sporadically, but fitting in a session is not the same as what you're talking about, because what you're saying is basically like a lifting vacation. And yeah, totally understand that.
100%. And that is one of the biggest reasons that, so in like April or March of last year, I dropped to part-time as a CrossFit coach because I really wanted to focus more energy on weightlifting, right? Not necessarily like the time, but just the mental clarity of not having to program for Liberty Barbell Club, not having to worry about putting on a meet, all of those mental taxing things I wanted to completely alleviate myself from and focus on weightlifting. It ended up being a really shitty time to make that transition because then the whole economy shut down, the gym shut down, we weren't able to train the way that we wanted to. So that was kind of rocky for a while. But where I'm at right now is I only coach 2 shifts a week at my gym, and I am mostly my income comes from being a nutrition coach. So I think that that's a great template for me to focus all of my energy on weightlifting. Because you're right, you can't be in your gym, you can't be the leader of anything, you can't be the business owner of anything without that taking priority in the middle of your session. I see it happening to coaches all the time.
It's all day for me. That's all I can do. So I slip in some snatches or some jerks for 10 minutes and then I walk away.
Yeah, yeah, and that's really tough. That's hard to be like linear about anything when you do it like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst way to train, but it's definitely not the best. So my best sessions come at 5:30 at night when I'm kind of done coaching, and there's maybe 1 or 2 people there, and I'll just hang out for 15 minutes and throw some weight up, and then they all just stare at me and go, "What the fuck were you doing all day?" It's like, you know, screwing around. It happens. Whatever.
Yeah,
I gotta impress the kids once in a while.
I'll go into the gym with my wife, and she owns CrossFit Novum, and so she will go in, and we are explicitly there for her to get her session done, and I'll see her take the trash out, and then she'll come back to the bar. Okay. And then somebody will be like, "Hey, where's that thing that you printed out?" And then she'll come back to the bar, and it's just there's no separation.
No, you have to like fit in 20 minutes at a time. That's the only way you can do it as an owner. At least that's the only way I figured I could do it. But whatever, it happens. What did you do during the pandemic to get over, like, how did you handle it?
We built a fucking platform in my backyard.
Nice.
It was awesome. Leisha borrowed all the stall mats and some plywood from Novum. So they deconstructed some of their platforms since nobody was in there. We went to Home Depot. We ordered 2x4s. You know how to build a platform. And so we had a really nasty grade in our backyard. So we had to build spacers to make everything even. And then we built a tarp or a canopy because I was outside in the elements. And so I guess the shutdown started like middle of March, mid-March. And it was just starting to get nice, kind of like how we are now. Beginning of April, it was starting to get warm, but it was raining and it was cold and it was hard. But I feel like I can train through a lot if I can do that. So,
yeah, everybody was just sort of in maintenance mode almost. You had to figure out what to do to get there.
Yeah, and it was really frustrating too, because if you were on social media, you were watching people in like the southern states training with no limitations at all. You know, people in Texas and Florida and Georgia still PRing, still seeing their coach, whereas all the gyms in Philly were shut down. We weren't supposed to be leaving our house, essentially.
Yeah.
And so that was tough. But it was the strong will survive moment. It was a really, I don't know, I had a moment with my wind chimes hanging off the back of the grill, just thinking like, if you can do this, you'll be fine when you get to a national stage.
Yep. Once you get back with the team, everything will be fine.
Yeah.
And it clicks. It comes back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that, to be honest, I know a lot of people struggled with maintaining energy balance and activity levels, and so a lot of people like gained weight during quarantine. I think that me walking around a little bit heavier also really helped me with some of my strength. And then when I got back to coaching and getting into the gym and more of a normal lifestyle, and I'm walking within my weight class again, I've maintained that strength. So there's been a lot of silver linings to it.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't all bad, but it definitely wasn't good. Did you get on those bandwagons of sourdough bread making and new coffee kicks? Oh,
for sure. The whipped coffee? Is that what you were saying?
Any coffee of the social media.
Oh, yes. So there's this TikTok coffee where you like whip up, what was it? It was
the
like
instant espresso or something like that.
1000%. Yeah, my wife made bread. We made shit like babka. We bought this like Israeli Mediterranean cookbook. I think you're right. It wasn't all bad, but for weightlifting and sports performance, it was kind of tough.
Yeah. I mean, we shut down for 2 months. I was back here with members back in June because I didn't want to stay shut down anymore, and I was tired of this shit. So we opened back in June with whoever would come, and people showed up. People said they didn't want to come back. Whatever. I'm open. I'm not staying shut. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I would have closed. And I saw that the problem with my logic of all this is they wanted you to stay closed, but I was still hanging out with the same people that I would have had in the gym anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I hang out with them in their house and not have them in my house, essentially?
Yeah, well, the point is you weren't supposed to be hanging out with them in their house either.
What are we supposed to do? Just sit and stare at each other? No, I'm not doing that. So
no, I mean, I was involved with 2 gyms that were like very compliant because I think that they were nervous about losing it all. You know, like we didn't know what the threats held, if you were going to lose your license or your business. And we were definitely getting to the point where my gym and Alicia's gym they both suffered different consequences. But I think we were all getting to the point where we were going to say, fuck it. You know, it's not worth losing an entire business over, especially when we know that we were adhering to all of the mandated safety protocols.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I didn't really follow many of the protocols.
I'm pretty sure that you didn't either. I mean that's what's tough about what happened is I think that people are good at following rules, and I think that like having state to state differences in the way that everybody handled things just made it seem very unjust. It wasn't fair. it wasn't fair that we had to be closed, but you didn't have to wear masks. You know, like Jersey gyms right now, I don't think have to wear masks. Or
oh no, we're supposed to, but we don't, or at least we don't here. I mean, we do, we totally do. My bad.
Yeah. I think that everybody dealt with this in a way that left their longevity survive, which I can't fault people for. We should have been taken better care of. And also, I don't know. There's a lot to say about that.
I mean, it's just the logic of it. And I don't want to get too much into this because it's just a weird topic. But, I mean, you're going to get socially distanced at a cash register and then stand next to people as you're going through the store. Like, the logic doesn't make sense. Or you're socially distanced to get on a plane, but then you get sat right next to that person on the plane. The logic, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that was the, like, major corporations being really greedy and trying to keep systems like that up. Like, flights shouldn't have been happening if we were really that nervous. You know, if we were really that scared about people being in contact with each other, then don't put us into a compact box where we share oxygen. But in that vein, that's where, like, the mask was supposed to be like, you can have these nice things. This is the boundary, though. This is the way to enjoy those nice things. So you want to keep working out in the gym, fine, you can do that, but just wear this mask. I feel like that was the Band-Aid that people are trying to create.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Do what you guys want to do to feel safe. I feel safe every day, and I'm fine. Anyways, so as someone who's run meets and done all of these awesome things, and we'll get into all the awesome weightlifting career that you have and you're doing, but what do you think is the hardest part about running a competition in-house?
Probably just getting the volunteers, honestly. I feel
setting the schedule.
Yeah, because we would create like a huge like a Google Doc of, we needed 3 judges for each session. We needed an announcer. We needed somebody to count the cards. This was pre-Aliftia, right? Like, I've yet to do a meet with Aliftia, which makes it way easier.
Super easy.
Yeah, we would have somebody come in, Mike Dunn, our tech guy, he would come in and set up a Chromecast. So we would have 3 different TVs, and the layout of LBC is that the warm-up platforms are in the back, competition platforms up the front. So we needed a TV there and a TV here, and they needed to be synced, and that could only happen 8 p.m. the night after classes were done on Friday. And then we needed people to check people in at the front desk. And sometimes I wonder if I, like, made things harder on myself by creating roles for all of that shit. But I also know that we have never run a meet that went late or had any accidents or that anybody has, like, complained about. So I don't mind being the type of person that asks for 20 volunteers. You know, I have 4 loaders for every session because that's the efficiency that I demand out of an event. I think that is what makes it tough, is because I do try to do, like, a little too much just to make sure that nothing bad can happen.
But you have to, because you have to run a good meet. If you run a bad meet, people aren't going to come back to your next meet. If you run a good meet, people are going to come back because they'll say, hey, listen, this competition was great. Next time they run one, you should do it too.
Yeah. And I also don't want that to impede the performance of any lifter. Like, I take it very seriously when somebody is on the platform for the first time. Everyone's nervous. You are dealing with a lot of different personality types, right? Like all these coaches bumping elbows at the table. That's been a source of anxiety too, because some dudes are better than others, and I really want people to have great experiences. So yeah, I know that we've run great meets. It's going to be, we just don't have the capacity to do that right now. You know, the staff at Subversus is we're like a skeleton crew. So to run a meet would take a lot of effort from everybody. So
did they lose a lot of members and have to cut down on staff?
Yeah, I mean, the cut down on staff happened sort of naturally. Like, a couple people transitioned into some different careers. We're also we try to be mostly full-time coaches. So we had previously had a tight-knit group of 5 full-time coaches. And then as the pandemic hit, we couldn't afford the salary of 5 full-time coaches anymore. So for sure, we lost a lot of members, and for the first time, because we're right in the middle of Center City, Philly, which has always been a location that has been great for us. And for the first time, that like kicked our ass because nobody was commuting into the city. The businesses were shut down. Nobody was traveling in for work anymore. So yeah, we lost easily half of our members.
Yeah, and that's a shame because you guys had a really great gym. That was the first time I met you, was at one of your meets a few years ago, probably in 17 or 18. Had to be 18, I think. So, and you ran it really well, and it was really good meet. And yeah, you're right in the Center City, right around the corner from the terminal market. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So really great location.
Yeah, I had somebody else at your gym on Sunday come up to me. I think it's Eric Zuccaro, and he said that he did his first meet ever at LBC, and it was so great. And ever since then, he's been lifting. And I don't know. I mean, that's why you get into this business, right? To like know that you helped one person fall in love with the same thing that you love, and you get to like hear that they're still doing it. So I am so thankful for being able to lead LBC for the period of time that I could.
Yeah, and hopefully you can run more meets if you're into it, and they'll be awesome just the same.
Yeah.
And now you got Oliftia, which I highly recommend if you're running a competition. It's awesome.
I can't believe it's free.
It's not free. That's a lie.
Oh, they changed it?
It was free 2 years ago.
2 years ago it was free.
2 years ago it was free, and then now it's 75 for up to I think 60 athletes, mm-hmm. and then it just goes up in price. But it's so worth it. Mm-hmm. To send in all the results, all I had to do was click a button, and then I just send off the results. It was awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We would have emails literally the next day. Hey, I checked my USAP profile. The meet results aren't in yet, and I would be like, girl, give me a fucking break, please. It would take us until like Thursday to upload all the results. Yeah.
This one, very easy. You just click a button, it exports it, and then you send it to USAW, and that's it. You're done. But I have USAW's website is so bad. It took me a half hour to find how to sanction another meet, and I'd done it before. Yeah. I just don't understand what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're trying, but it's going to take a while.
This bars system is my least favorite system they've ever come up with. It's
bars
terrible.
Is tough too. Yeah, and we lost a lot of data. So I'm on the LWC board for the Mid-Atlantic, which is the local weightlifting board, and we are in charge of distributing finances and seeing who medal contenders are. And with the switch to bars, we lost all the information prior to the switchover.
It wasn't a good switchover. I don't know why they changed it. I liked the other system. I could look through things and it made sense to me. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, everything is about money. I'm sure that it's an easier way for maybe us to process payment for meets, maybe for them to mass email people. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. I'm gonna have to get somebody on the podcast to talk to them about it because I want answers for sure.
The hard question.
So, yeah, the hard question. Yeah, MarbleCast. All right. So, when did you first qualify for nationals, and then when did you? How did you progress over the years?
Okay, so nationals, I think was. I think that 2017 was my first nationals, if that was the one in Chicago. And so I believe that I was with Dane Miller of Garage Strength for that. And he caught me at such an interesting limbo because I was with him for less than a year. I had been with McKenna for a long time, training remote. And I knew that I wanted to change, so I chose Dane. So I went from remote to remote. And then I think really what added fire to the gasoline to the fire was finally having an on-site coach. So once I transitioned to gym, and you could literally have somebody there yelling at you while you're lifting, talking to you in between reps, telling you, today you look a little fatigued, let's change, the programming a little bit. That was definitely the accelerant that I needed. And for that reason, I would seriously dread ever being a remote athlete again, because it's been I mean, that is definitely like what I credit my current success to, is being on site with a coach.
Yeah, you definitely need somebody there once in a while. I don't think you need somebody there every day, but it definitely helps a couple days a week just to have eyes on you and to reinforce that you're doing things correctly or to make adjustments.
Yeah.
The remote coaching, you send videos and then you get a response afterwards. It's hard to make those adjustments. It's like, yeah, I see it, but mid-lift, I'd like to be able to make those changes.
Exactly. And then I'm not going to have that complex again until next Tuesday. So I'm just going to write a note and then hope that I remember to do it next Tuesday, pull harder or shrug taller or whatever it is. And then also, if we're training remote, more often than not, you're training by yourself in a corner somewhere, or at least you're doing a program like kind of different from everybody else. So being in a team environment where people are like, let's go, Morgan, or come on, Voz, like that kind of shit. I'd never had that before, so that felt really good too. So I think that after Chicago, I've made nationals ever since. So 17, 18, 19, 20, and then we'll have 21, hopefully here at the July 4th weekend.
In Detroit, right?
In Detroit, yeah. I feel like there's a lot of jokes about Detroit being not super fun to visit, but we're going to make the best of it.
They got a casino. It's got to be okay.
I'm pretty sure that's where Eminem is from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we'll go, like, do a tour to Eminem or something like that.
Yeah, you can go see 8 Mile. So I want to touch on something you said before where you enjoy suffering for workouts. So I think that's the biggest appeal of CrossFit. Not necessarily during the workout that you're in all this pain, but directly after you finish is the happiest moment of your day.
Yeah.
Because then you get to tell everybody what you did at CrossFit.
Yeah, then you get to post about it on social media.
Yes. So, like, you go through all this pain. This workout was crazy. You found out that the workout today was dumbbell snatches, ring muscle-ups, and a quarter-mile run, and then you had to buy out with 500 double unders. Mm-hmm. And it's such a ridiculous amount of things that once you're done with it, you, one, can't believe that you did that, and then, two, you have to tell everybody that you can't believe you did that because of how awesome you feel, and they didn't do that, so you're amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're right with thinking about you didn't know you could do that, right? That's what the fear P is about. Is like no matter how long you've been doing CrossFit, you still get really scared before a hard workout.
Oh, yeah.
And in that 3, 2, 1 moment, you breathe heavy. Like I still get adrenaline thinking about it. And I think that it's the euphoria of pride when you're done because you're just like, I did that shit. I did that really, really hard shit.
Yeah, and it's totally different than weightlifting, where it's like, yeah, I snatched 90, but okay, cool. But did you breathe hard and, like, do 500 double unders right after? No.
Yeah.
All right, that's great.
Yeah, weightlifting is the long game. You don't have that gratification that you do with CrossFit. And it's also the same movements. People will be like, what are you doing today? I'm snatching, I'm cleaning, and I'm jerking. That's all that I'm ever doing. That's all that it ever is. Don't ask me again because it's not going to be different. And so you can really get fixated on those 3 lifts. With CrossFit, you get to take a mental break from double unders. If they're super frustrating, cool. Go work on your kipping pull-ups or something like that. So I think it takes a different competitor, a different type of person to be invested in weightlifting for the long haul because you have to be willing to mentally suffer more than physically suffer, right? Because it's not it's not frequently rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not super physically demanding, but it is because you are putting in heavy lifting every day, squatting, pressing, snatching, clean and jerking every day. But if you need to work on something else, you can't just be like, all right, I'm just going to go do some, I mean, you can just go do some pulls, but it's not, yeah, you're right. It's not the same thing as CrossFit. And that I think is good. That's a good thing about CrossFit is it introduces you to a wide range. So you can be really crappy at snatches, but still meet the standard and get through the workout. It won't look as good as maybe a weightlifter would do it, but the weightlifter might not move as fast. So it's just a totally different beast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's exactly why I transitioned from CrossFit to weightlifting, because the workouts that I was always really good at were the heavy barbell ones. And when we were going team, you had to decide who was doing what in a workout. And so if there was ever a heavy something, put Morgan on it, Morgan will do it. And so I was just like, let me stop doing all this other shit that I'm not that good at and just focus on the heavy barbell stuff. And that's where weightlifting came from. I think also, like, weightlifting is tough because it looks like it's not physically taxing. You know, we operate in a short burst, quick of energy, and then we sit down on a stool for a couple seconds. And so it looks like we're maybe inherently more lazy than a CrossFitter. But I think that it is just as grueling, especially because there is a little bit more of like the mental taxing that happens with weightlifting.
Yeah, it's all mental, and it's a different thing because when you have to snatch in CrossFit and a ladder, and you got a bunch of music, you got loud music playing, a bunch of people screaming at you. It's totally different than when you have to walk up to a bar in silence, and hopefully you keep it close and you get under it.
Yeah, and it's like serene, and it's like eerily quiet, and the only thing left to think is like your own deafening thoughts. It's so different, and I totally get why it's not everybody's jam because of that, right? It's also like, if you do CrossFit and you like to fall into the shadows and just like be part of a group class, and then you transition to weightlifting where literally everybody stops moving when you approach the bar and everybody stares at you and it gets so quiet you can hear a pin drop. Like, people don't like that kind of spotlight. So it can be, I mean, they're two totally different beasts.
Yeah, I take that whole process out of it by not setting up, and I just grab the bar and I go. So then I don't have time to listen to anything or hear anybody. It's just, I'm going to walk up to this bar, grab it, and I'm going to lift the shit out of it. And then if I make it, great. I throw it down. I see you later. And if I don't, all right, cool. I'll try again in a second.
Yeah, I mean, that works for some people. I know that there are people that will ride down. You know how you have a minute clock? This is for anybody that doesn't know. You have a minute clock to take your attempt. And if in the time that the minute runs down, the bar has not, past the knee, it has to get past the knee or something like that, then the lift doesn't count. So people will run down that clock with a 50-second ritual with the toe tapping and the wrist stretching and the sound making and all this kind of bullshit. And I mean, I'm somewhere in between. Yeah.
You see, I want it to be entertaining. So you weren't there for the last session when I was emceeing on the mic during the last session, but I want weightlifting to be entertaining, because at the competition it's just like, okay, Morgan, second attempt, and it's boring. People in the audience watching, they're bored. They don't know what's going on, and it's not exciting. So as a lifter, if I don't have that sort of energy coming out of the commentator or the MC, the announcer, I'm just going to walk up there, and I'm not wasting anybody's time. And when that clock starts, I'm going to walk up to that bar and grab it as fast as I can. I don't know why I do that. It just helps me not think about it. And most of the time it goes pretty well. But if I have a 2-minute clock, I'll maybe waste 30 seconds, even on clean and jerks. I got a 2-minute clock. I'm making all my changes within the first 10, 15 seconds, just so I have a little bit of time to think about things. And as soon as that clock rolls, I'm fine. I'm going in. I don't waste time. I think it's more entertaining that way.
Yeah, I think that can be true, but like, I'm way more selfish. Like, I don't care how long I'll have to wait. I need my legs to have a second, so I'll make you wait for a second. I think that's true of new weightlifters, right? Like, we are the new resurgence of the sport. We are bringing it back on the map, and I think that you'll find music playing at meets now, and more energetic MCs, and gosh, I just can't imagine how, like, this sport has been around for so long. Spectators have had to suffer for many, many years. We're going to take the sport back for spectators.
Yeah, we need to make it somewhat entertaining. No more lifting in high school gymnasiums with 4 people watching.
Yeah, I like when there's like a little bit of music. And now at Nationals, they have multiple platforms going at a time. So they have some like small level of background music playing. So it's not as deathly quiet as it once was. Yeah, that's been nice.
Yeah. we gotta have a little bit of background noise. I don't like the crickets. But yeah, even at those bigger meets, there's noise. There's things going on. So it's good to train when there's a little bit of things and a little bit of mess. Because if you always train where you're not allowed to have people walking in front of you and there's no distractions, when you get to the competitions, there's gonna be distractions. You're gonna be distracted. Warm-up room, even on the competition platform. Dude, you go to the Arnold sits on the front of the platform and waits for you to lift while he takes a selfie. I didn't train for that shit. Did you? Nobody does. So you have to train with distractions, because if you don't, these things will come up and you won't be ready.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like the number one rule that I would tell people starting out, but I will say it's my number one pet peeve, which is like diva weightlifters. That like when you miss a lift and you think it's because somebody walked in front of you, you're not fooling anybody. You missed that lift because you did something technically wrong. It has nothing to do with the person walking in front of you. And I think that, I don't know, some people want that sort of like authority in their life. Like maybe they don't feel respected in their outside gym life, and so they need things to be like absolutely picture perfect for their weightlifting training. I really hate that. I totally hate that. I'll tell people, walk in front of me all the time. I can use the extra help. I think it's going to be long-term helpful for me to lift with distraction. Also, there's always a baby crying. There's literally always a baby screaming at nationals. So get ready for that.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. Like we have to respect the lifter who's lifting. Don't walk in front of them as long as you can avoid it. But when shit happens, it is what it is. Like, go with it. I was lifting on a Saturday. We were maxing out, and I'm just screwing around. I'm on like a medium set. I'm not on a heavy set, and like I said, I don't set up. So I look up, and one of my friends, one of the lifters, is staring right at me like in a weird pose. It caught me off so bad. I still made the lift, but it was really weird. I started laughing mid-set. So that stuff kind of made me laugh. And I'm happy having a light environment. I don't like when things are too heavy, too tense. Like, I don't take it too seriously. I'm a gym owner. I don't get paid to lift. I get paid to work people out. So me having fun with it allows me to relax a little bit at competitions. I don't really get nervous, or not terribly nervous when I'm going out there, because I'm out there for 15 seconds and then it's over. So I mean, that's a good point. And I think that that's something that coaches have to, like gym has to deal with that, because I agree. I feel similarly. Like I get serious in that I like pace and I don't really talk to anybody, but I'm not like mad or unapproachable, and I like there to be like loud music. Like it feels like fun serious to me. Yes. But then we have some other teammates that are like mad serious. And I think it's tough as a coach to try and create an environment where both athletes can succeed. You know, like how do we collaborate and create an environment that we can both do well in? That's just like a whole nother thing as a barbell club owner and as a coach that you have to take into account, is like, how can you serve the most people at one time? I mean, everybody's going to be a little different, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's just weightlifting. You're not making a majority of your income, if you're making income from it at all, from this sport. And a lot of the people we're just having fun with it. We're going to hopefully qualify for some things. It's not your job. Let's have fun. This is basically gym class, and we get to be in front of a crowd once in a while, and it's awesome. Yeah. So that's the way I kind of look at it.
That's a good attitude.
Yeah. I don't like to my goal as a coach is to get everybody out of their heads. Don't think it's just weightlifting. You know where the bar goes, so put it there.
I mean, that was what makes a good weightlifter, but then what happens when they do get more advanced, you know? So like if I do have international squad members on my team, people that are making a stipend, how do you not change the culture of the club just because people are getting more successful, you know?
Well, if what got you there was that work ethic, you have to keep it going. Mm-hmm. So if you start off in a very intense environment and you're making that progress going to nationals, international competition, you have to keep that going. Yeah. But if you got there with a lighter attitude and you're just having fun and, hey, listen, I'm going to ride this as long as I can, I mean, why change that?
Why change that? Yeah, and I think actually as I've been in the sport for longer, that's exactly what my downfall has been, which is the better you get, the more expectations you place on yourself, and then the more pressure there is, and then the more serious you have to be. And that's what I think has led me to like a couple bad cycles or some bad competitions, which is not following that same like joyful, excited, head down, do the work nature, is trying to change things mid progress because I'm serious now. So yeah, I see even in myself, a ton of people mess that up.
Right. So that's another thing about me with competitions. If you go in there and you're tense, you're like, I got to lift the weight. You're not going to lift that weight because you have to be relaxed and tense and relaxed aggression. Because that bar has to go somewhere. If you put too much pressure on yourself, a lot of the times you put it in the wrong direction and you end up thoughts start processing. It's no good.
Yeah. And you've got to do enough competitions to know what environment really does allow you to thrive. Like I've done a couple where I don't have my headphones in and I'm talking to my training partners and I'm telling people like I feel so good, I feel so casual, and then that actually does not help me succeed. I need some layer of pressure. And so just continuing to compete and figure out like what your perfect cocktail of an environment is really the best way to figure out what you need.
Kind of sounds like you want some balance. Basically weightlifting.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the last final thing is your nutrition coaching. How long have you been doing that? What got you into that? And where can people find you?
Okay, so I've been coaching for a long time. I would say like the last 5 years. I just accepted a brand new full-time position with Black Iron Nutrition, which is a company that has, I would say 16 to 17 coaches, and they specialize in everything from performance, pregnancy and postpartum, lifestyle, gut health. I mean, we've got really, really well-educated coaches on staff, and it's run by Chrissy May Cagney of Donuts and Deadlifts. Well, previously of Donuts and Deadlifts. And so I've only been with them for about a month. I did like a mentorship with them under Nicole. And why did I get into nutrition coaching? My own battles with nutrition, basically being just like a woman raised in this world and also not being an athlete my entire life. So CrossFit is my first sport. And only when I found CrossFit did I feel like how I looked didn't matter as much as how I moved and how I performed did. And that felt like a very revolutionary concept for me, to not think, am I good looking, am I attractive, am I sexy, but can I move this weight, how strong can I be, how well can I recover? That's completely changed my relationship with food. And the longer that I'm in nutrition coaching, I just realize like people are still very much struggling with the aesthetic part of their food relationship. So that has remained a very big pillar of why I do nutrition coaching, just because there are too many men and women out there living with disordered eating in the name of like trying to look good, and that's a sad life to live. Where can people find me? Well, you can find me on Instagram at Morgan Voz. That's probably where I'm most active. And if you are interested in working with me for nutrition coaching, you can apply to work with me on the Black Iron Nutrition website.
Awesome. Well, Morgan, thank you again for coming on here. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for asking me.
And keep lifting those heavy weights because you're doing great. And we wish you the best of luck with all of your lifting endeavors. We look forward to see you on that national and international stage. So
Thank you. Let me know when you're doing your next meet, because like I said, there's some good juju on that platform, so I'll come back.
Oh, for sure. We're going to look for, we're doing an in-house one in May, and then we're going to look to do another one probably in October. I might change the venue, though, because I want to get a bigger meet, and I want it to be a little bit more lively. But we'll see.
Cool.
We'll see how it goes. Awesome. Well, thank you again. And as always, guys, age is inevitable. Weakness is not. So get out there and lift some shit, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Awesome. Thanks for watching today's MarbleCast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any content. Check out our Spreadshirt shop to grab some swag. And if you would like to support the MarbleCast, please head over to anchor.fm. All of the links are in the description, and it helps us out to keep the channel running. Thanks so much, guys. See you next time.